he passed away in 1760, the 18th century, Rabbi Israel, son of Eliezer, a great mystic and teacher and revolutionary of the 18th century. He told his students, he gathered them around, and he gave each one of them a task, a mission, to carry on after his passing. Yankov was not happy with the task that he got. And the Baal Shem Tov told him, I want you to travel around the land, Europe, and tell my stories, tell stories about me. Another student became the Rebbe of this town and this city and that place, and some were tasked to write down his teachings. But Yankel was quite devastated. I have a wife, I have children. How am I going to travel? Will I ever get to be home? Don't worry, you're going to know when your task is fulfilled. It's going to be clear to you, said the Holy Baal Shem Tov. So it was. Yankov knew thousands of stories. He's been with the Baal Shem Tov here and there, and he traveled around the land telling Baal Shem Tov stories. And the rumor came to him, he heard news that in Siena in Italy, in Siena,
move it away.
Sounds like a battery thing. Sounds like a battery thing. Got extra 9 volt.
so he heard that in Siena there was a rich man who would pay a lot of money to hear Baal Shem Tov's stories. Now you need to understand that in Siena, in Italy, they didn't care for the Baal Shem Tov so much. Italian Jews were not into, the Baal Shem Tov was from Poland, Medjugorje. Italy was a whole different, they didn't do Yiddish, they didn't do the whole shtick. And there was this strange guy in Italy, in Siena, who wanted to hear the Baal Shem Tov stories and pay a lot of money for it. So he travels down on his horse all the way to Siena. And he comes to the rich man. And the rich man welcomes him with joy. Please come, stay, spend Shabbat with me. And I'm going to gather the townspeople. And on Friday night, after prayers, when we sit at the table, you'll tell us Baal Shem Tov stories. And so it was. And it was time for him to tell his stories. He could not remember one story. His brain went blank. He knew thousands, not even one. He apologized to his host, and the host says, never mind, sleep well, you're tired from the road. Tomorrow, at lunch, after prayers in the morning, I'm going to invite the townspeople, you're going to tell Baal Shem Tov stories. And the time has come, and they were, right before the main course and dessert. And his mind went blank. He knew thousands of stories, and he couldn't even remember one. And so it was, after the afternoon prayers, during the third meal, nothing was coming to him. This has never happened to him before. He was devastated. The din of the last Shabbat was out, and the man said to him, look, here's, give him a lot of money. This is for your effort. Thank you for coming. Never mind, don't worry. Sunday morning, he packs up his things. He feels completely guilty and uncomfortable. He has not earned, the gift that he has received. And he hops on his horse and he makes his way out of town. And as he's going through the next village, he's passing by a house with lots of shutters. And all the windows were shut, the shutters were all closed. And a story came to him. He remembered a story that he never told before. And he turned around and he beat the horse and he went right back. And he rushed into the villa, the little mansion. And he burst into the house and he ran up. He was so excited he didn't even wait. He ran up to the room. And he burst in, and his host, he doesn't recognize him. He's wet from tears. His eyes are puffed and red, like some tragedy happened. And he said, "Oh, I'm so sorry. What happened? Did somebody die?" And he says, No, nobody died. He said, "Well, I remembered the story, and I wanted to come back, and I wanted to tell you the story because I didn't want to disappoint you." And the man says, "Sure, tell me. Are you sure? But maybe you need to go. Maybe somebody died." He says, No. Tell me a story. Once when I was traveling with the Baal Shem Tov, with some of the Hasidim, some of the other students, we got word that there was a community in Istanbul, far away from Poland, where there was about to be a terrible pogrom, and the people were anxious, and people did not know what to do. And the Baal Shem Tov decided that we're going to go and help the people in that town. We're all frightened, because to travel into a town at a time of a pogrom for Jews, and they look like Jews, was not a smart thing to do. No, we're going to go, everything is going to be okay, said the Baal Shem Tov. And so it was. The Baal Shem Tov had that secret of Pritzat HaDerech. They would get into the carriage and then, wake up a few hours later in some other place. They did the time warp. Anyway, there they are, and they're driving into the Jewish quarters in Istanbul. All the shutters are closed. Houses are barricaded. No Jews in the streets. This is a time of Easter. And in the market square, there was a stage, and a lot of people were already gathering, because every year the bishop of that town would go and give a speech, give a sermon, and then everybody would go and riot and look for Jews to harm. And it was starting to happen. And the Baal Shem Tov, he sees that all the houses are shut, and what is he going to do? So he goes to a house that's closest to the square. We're frightened. We're not comfortable. And the master tells us, never mind, everything's going to be okay. So the master knocks on the door, and somebody opens a crack, and he says, "It's us, we're Jews. And they open the door, and they rush us all in, and they barricade the door back up. Baal Shem Tov says, is there a window where I can look out in the square? Now, they try to convince him not to do that. It's not a smart thing to open a window onto the square before this event is about to happen. But he says, never mind, it's going to all be okay. And he opens the shutter and looks at the square. And all of a sudden, the bishop of the town, with his entourage, with his own, with the people, they start coming through the crowd, and they're reaching the stage, and he's about to go onto the stage to start his sermon. And the Baal Shem Tov turns to me and says, Yaakov, go to the bishop and tell him that I want to speak to him. Now, I was frightened. But, Holy Master, for a Jew to go through that crowd, it's going to be the end of me. Never mind, you're going to be okay. The miracle of miracles. I walked through the crowd, it was like the Red Sea. It split, and nobody touched me. And I came right up to the stage. And the bishop was already up there, was about to start the speech. And I said to him, Sir Bishop, the Holy Baal Shem Tov wants to speak to you. And to my utter amazement, to my utter surprise, the bishop said to me, tell the Baal Shem Tov I'm going to come in just a few minutes. I have a sermon to give. So I run back to the house, and I tell the Holy Baal Shem Tov, the bishop said he's going to come, but he has a sermon to give. And he tells me, go back and tell him, come now. So I go through the crowd, and again, like the Red Sea splits, nobody touches me. I go all up to the stage, and the bishop is about to start. And I said, the Holy Baal Shem Tov said, you need to come now. And to my utter amazement, the bishop followed me. And we walked into the house, and the Baal Shem Tov and the bishop locked up in the room for an hour, 2 hours. Finally, the bishop came out, and I didn't recognize him. He was crying. He was distraught. And he walked out the back of the house, and he disappeared, and no one ever heard about him anymore. And that's all I know from the story. I don't know what happened before, and I don't know what happened after. Yankel, don't you recognize me? I'm the bishop. And I was confused. When I came, I thought I recognized him, but I've been traveling and telling stories all over, and I see lots of people I don't know who's who, I can't remember. But yes, now that you are the bishop. How can that be? How? You're Jewish. How is this? So he told him the story. I'm the bishop. I was born to a very poor Jewish family. We had lots of children, very little food to eat. Life was miserable. So when I was a teenager, I became Christian. I left my family, I left my faith. And I was very smart. So I rose in the ranks. I studied well. I became a priest, and I rose up in the rank until I became the bishop. And to prove myself, because my ancestry was not a lineage to be proud of in my new community, every year I would preach to harm the Jews, just so they never suspected me. So they knew that I am right. And when the Holy Baal Shem Tov sat and talked to me, I realized the error of my ways. And I was distraught because I knew that my soul was tarnished. And I asked the Holy Baal Shem Tov, can I make teshuvah? Can I do repentance for this? And the Holy Baal Shem Tov said yes. Get rid of all your assets. Give a third to your family. Give a third to tzedakah. And take a third with you and disappear. Go somewhere where nobody knows you. And do repentance. Do teshuvah. And I asked the Holy Baal Shem Tov, and how will I know if my repentance is accepted? And he said, when you hear someone tell your story, then you will know. So when you came here and you were not able to remember, I knew that my repentance was not yet accepted. When you tried the next day, between Friday and lunch and Saturday, I prayed so hard for repentance. And when you were not able to tell the story, lunch and Saturday, I knew my repentance was not yet accepted. So between lunch and third meal, I prayed like never before for repentance, for teshuvah. And when Shabbat was over and you were not able to remember a story, I knew that I was doomed. And since you left, I've been praying and crying like never in my life for redemption of my soul. And now I know that was accepted. I'll speak a little louder while this has been taken care of, and you'll listen a little louder. So, the Slonimer was a student of 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 the Baal Shem Tov. He lived in the 20th century Jerusalem. Was the head. He was the head of the Ger Hasidim. He teaches the following about the Teshuvah. It says in the Torah, where do we learn about Yom Kippur? We learn about it in the Torah, and it says, Ki bayom hazeh yechaper alechem. And he tells us, Ki bayom hazeh yechaper alechem. On this day, you will be atoned for. He tells us there's a very interesting acronym in that sentence. If you, an acronym, you take the first, you take the first letter of each word. So, Ki Bayom Hazeh Yechaper. Those of you who are Israelis, what is it? What is the acronym? And scramble the letters. That's right, Dechiyah. Okay, Ki Bayom Hazeh Yechaper Dechiyah. And he teaches the work of Yom Kippur, the work of preparing for Yom Kippur, for real, has to do with crying. You appreciate that. It has to do with going inside and finding the place that is the valley of tears and pouring it out until there's emptiness, until we're cleansed. Bechiyah. So there's teshuvah, but there's deep teshuvah. Says the Slonimer. Omek HaTeshuvah. Deep teshuvah is teshuvah that happens from connecting with the tragedy of being less than fully my glorious self created in the image of God. I don't know about you, but I'm certainly, my glorious self that's created in the image of God is a bit amiss. I'll speak for myself. I don't know about you. And sometimes crying helps. And if you want to know about the science of that, talk to Odelia here. She knows a lot about it. There's co-counseling, evaluation counseling. So what I want to say is that obviously this man did deep teshuvah until he was completely cleansed. We should all be blessed with the resources and the helpers, Odelia, for doing the deepest teshuvah in the world that you can. We should be all blessed with the purest heart always. That's a nice posture.
Amen.
Now I want to give you some questions for reflection when you go home. And we're going to come back to that tomorrow. So here's the questions for reflection. Is there a relationship between deep teshuvah and deep ecology? Because you may already know that in this rabbi's view, there's not a more important cause or challenge in our collective lives than ecology right now. Is there a connection between deep teshuvah and deep ecology? What kind of teshuvah, repentance, do we need to make in our relationship with the natural world and the planet? We all know what we need to do internally for, the ways we fall short in relationships, in our community, in our families. But what about the planet? What deep teshuvah do we need to do in our relationship to Mother Earth? If we were to cry our hearts out about the fate of the planet, what would we be crying about? So tomorrow we're going to discuss that a little bit more at length, the connection between deep teshuvah and deep ecology.